Welcome back. We're in Khan Academy under Algebra 1, and the unit is quadratic functions and equations. We're looking at features of quadratic functions. This one has a quadratic in factored form, one factor times another. It asks us what the zeros of the function are and what the vertex of the parabola is. Well, when you're in factored form, the zeros are very simple. If one of the factors is 0, then when you multiply, the output is 0. So the function value will be 0 if r plus 1 is 0, or if r plus 8 is 0. So in this case, if r were -1 or -8, the output would be 0. Which is smaller? -8 is smaller, so we'll put -8 here. -1 is larger than -8, so we'll put that there. And then we want to think about what's happening here. We're crossing the x-axis where x is -8 and where x is -1. So that looks like -1, -8. We're crossing at those 2 points, and we're asked where is the vertex. Well, parabolas are symmetrical, so if it opens like this, if it opens down and crosses those 2 points, the vertex will be halfway in between. If it opens up and it crosses those 2 points, the vertex will still be halfway in between. So that tells us that we can figure out the x-coordinate. So this is -8 and this is -1. Halfway in between that will be half of the distance. The distance is 7. So if we go -7/2 from -1, we'll be right in the middle, and that dotted line is going to be our axis of symmetry. We'll have the x value of our vertex. So -1 -7/2 is -9/2. So that's our x-coordinate for our vertex. And our y-coordinate will be whatever the function value is where x is -9/2. So let's see what we have up here. We have -9/2 plus 1 times -9/2 plus 8. And that will equal h of -9/2, which is our y value at the vertex. So -9/2 plus 1 is -7/2. -9/2 plus 16/2 is 7/2. Let's see. 16 minus 9 is 7. Yep. So now I want to multiply this, and I get negative times a positive is negative. 7 times 7 is 49. 2 times 2 is 4. So I know that I cross, or I don't cross, I have my vertex at -9/2, -49/4. -9/2 and -49/4. Next question. Features of a quadratic function, where we've got this equation that's in vertex form. They ask us for the zeros. They also ask us for the vertex of the parabola. Well, since it's in vertex form, that part will be easy. It's the opposite of this constant. So the opposite of -6 is 6. That's our x value. And this constant is our y-coordinate. So -12.25. -12.25. Okay, so we have our vertex. Now, to find the zeros of the function, you could do it the way we did in the previous video with a problem like this, or I want to show you another way, and this comes right out of comparing the vertex form of a quadratic function to the standard form of the quadratic function. Do a bunch of substitutions in algebra, and you find that you can show what the x-coordinate of your vertex is in terms of this constant and this constant. Remember, the vertex form of our equation is f of x in general is a, some constant, times x minus h squared plus k. And when you're in this format, the vertex is located at h, comma, k. Now, we can use h and k to find the x-coordinates of our zeros, that is our x-intercepts. Here's how. X will equal h plus or minus the square root of negative k over a. Okay, so we'll plug in the numbers we know. We know that h is 6, and we know that k is negative 12.25, so the opposite of that is 12.25. And a, sorry, let me get rid of that for you so you can see, a is the constant times this. Well, how many of those do I have? I have one of them. We didn't write the 1 in this case because it's a 1. If it was a 2, there would have been a 2 written here, and so on. But we know that it's 1. So a is 1. Now, we've got h is 6. We've got negative k is the opposite of negative 12.25. That's here. Positive 12.25. A was 1, so I put that there. So, x equals 6 plus the square root of 12.25. We need to figure out what that is. Or x equals 6 minus whatever the square root of 12.25 is. Okay, so 12.25 can be written as a fraction. We'll do some side work over here. The square root of that, square root of the denominator is 10. 1,225 equals 25 times, how many times can we fit 25 into 122? 4 times, and then 25 goes into 225. Let's see, 9 times? Okay, so 25 times 49 is 1,225. If we take the square root of that, we can take the square root of each of these factors, so that'll be 5 times 7, so that equals 35. So that goes here. So the square root of 12.25 is 35 divided by 10, or 3.5. Okay, you can use a calculator if you want to, but x equals 6 plus 3.5, that'll be my larger one because I'm adding, and x equals 6 minus 3.5, that'll be my smaller because I'm subtracting. So 6 minus 3.5 is 2.5. And 6 plus 3.5 is 9.5.